What is going on, everybody? I know it's me. It's been a minute since I've done a video. So, here I am doing a video. New year, I guess. New me, so I guess trying to get back more, be more involved, I guess, get back into the community. And that's what my plan is and stuff. We'll see how true I hold to that and everything. But, I figure why not make a video and stuff, because some of you are probably wondering what I did get at the National. So this is my better late than never recap of the 2025 National. So, I get there, Tuesday morning, came this time by myself. My son did not come with me this time. So I, flew in and got to the airport, got my luggage, went out, was waiting on the shuttle to the hotel. And then Matt and his family, we met up outside there. So Matt over at the Card Story. So I was staying with him and his family in a suite. So we get on the shuttle, go to the hotel, check in, get to the room, find out there's not two, I guess, pulled out sofa beds, because they were supposed to be in the picture. It showed one in the living room area and one in the bedroom. So I was supposed to get the one in the living room. The kids were supposed to get the one in the bedroom. Found out that there was nothing, so it was only one in the living room. So it was like, oh, well, let's go check the other suite and see if that one has one. And no. So Matt and I went back down to the first room, told his wife Sarah, hey, we're gonna go over to the mall next door and see if they got a store in there that sells air mattresses. And there was an outdoor store in there. They were on sale. He got them, one for each room. So that's what I slept on, was an air mattress, a tiny air mattress for the week, which is fine. I mean, I was in the Army. I slept worse, slept on the actual ground. So sleeping on an air mattress was comfortable. So when we go over to the convention center, because he had VIP, I was doing the free general admission for military. I'll get into that. So, if you've been into the convention center, years past, you walk into the lobby, it's all of it's right there. Like, you get your badges, your everything is supposed to be right there. And this time it was no VIP, and I think the 5-day early entry also was up there. You had to go down this other area where the VIP lounge, holding area was. It's all carpeted, air conditioned in there. And then at the end of it, there's escalators. You go up, and they had tables up there that was outside of where the trade night area was. So we get up there and get that. And while I'm standing there waiting, I ended up just picking up the 2024 pin from Cleveland, from the National there. They had those on the table for free, so I picked that up. I was like, why not? Little souvenir, because I don't buy shirts or nothing like that from it, because the designs suck. So we get there, and then we find out that the general admission is up to other escalators in the lobby. So when you get up, they had a new area where they set up other tables up there. And so you go through this door, and there's a glass wall you can see inside. Well, at the very back end of it, there was like these booths where the workers were at. That's where general admissions at. And so I go over there and I talk to the lady, and I think I'm trying to remember if I got my badge then, or I'm like, all right, this is where it's at. I'm coming up next day. I can't remember. But so yeah, I think it was I get up there. I think I had to go up the next morning. So I go up the next morning, and now you have to wait. Like, okay, like why can't you wait inside? You can't get into the booth area because there's people sitting there. So I'm just like, whatever. So we're getting there. So I finally get the my band and had to go down and wait while I'm sitting there. I um, see someone I know, and I start texting him to see, be like, I'm like just messing with him, watching you. I could see you, and he comes over, and so he's with his friends. We chat for a minute. Um, why am I blanking on his name? Oh man, I apologize because I just texted him the other day. But anyways, he gives me these envelopes. Yeah, here. I cannot believe I'm like, and he knows I collect Drysdale, so I thought that was kind of cool. So he gives me those. Man, I can't believe I'm blanking on his name right now. I feel so bad. So, dang, I feel so bad. But anyways, we're he has the early entry. He goes in with his friends. So now they finally let general admission in. You talk about a unorganized thing. Everybody knows like it's never gonna go as planned. Nothing is. So whatever. So I finally get in. I'm like, all right, now I'm like trying to figure out where anybody is at. So I'm like texting Matt, I'm texting other people. And so I finally meet up. I can't remember who. I ended up going over to my friend that's a dealer there, Mike Pike. You've seen videos of stuff I've done with him. I go there to his table, and I see what he's got, and his buddy Tim and his buddy Chris. That what they got over there. I think they're in a nice location because next to them, there's drinks and some food and nothing but cake, and so so they're in a prime location because it's a through traffic between one side to the next. I mean, you have to go past their table. So I've been up at that table probably a few times during that whole show. But anyways, get on with it. So show was all right. I just felt overwhelmed, I guess, on first day there. Not like oh my god, there's a lot of stuff here to look at. It was more of there's too many people on the first day, and the aisles were just crazy. So it was kind of like unenjoyable, I guess, because it was like you want to look, but you can't look because people are on the way, which I mean, it's a typical thing. But I do have to say, this year, this year's national was nice and cold in there. There was a point where I thought about buying a hoodie because it was cold in there, and the cell service, I didn't connect to the Wi-Fi, so I'm guessing the Wi-Fi was probably fine if people needed it, but the cell service was fine. I had no problem reaching out to anybody. unless they didn't answer their text or their phone, because, it was loud. I get it. You can't hear it going off. But, first day, over with. So second day, and there Thursday, I'm walking over. I'm like, I'm gonna go get my wristband so I can, get whatever. So I start walking up, and I'm like, I'm messaging the wife and waiting for her to call me before I go in. And next thing I know, it's like people are coming, right? Because I was at the corner entrance going in outside, and people are like stopping there, like starting to form up. And I move, and I could just I looked in, and there's like this long line going up to the door to get into the lobby. And I was like, man, this is like already there. So, talk to the wife, for, about 10, 15 minutes, get off the phone, going up, and the line's already like down the street a little bit. And I'm like, I'm not getting in line. Let me go inside and get a cup of coffee from the Starbucks or the little other snack shop they had in there. Couldn't even get in. No badge, can't get in. So I'm like, whatever. So I go back to the hotel, and I can't remember who I ran into that was standing in line to get coffee also. So we end up getting coffee together, chat for a moment. And then I think I just went back out, and I just sat out there on I wouldn't say the curb, but it was like a raised like stone brick area that was outside of Gibson's. So I sat there at the crosswalk and drank my coffee and watched everybody cross the street. Cops telling them, everybody go down to the next light, go down to the next light, because it went all the way down the building. And I was like, I am not going down there and standing. I'm going to wait right here. There's no rush. I'm going to get in when I get in. So the line finally dies out. Go in, get my badge, my little wrist thing, and go on. And I'm like, all right. And then I can't remember. I ran into somebody who was looking at stuff. Went over to Stan's table. I was talking to his wife, Casey. Her and I just hit it off. We talked about music for like 30 minutes, I think. So yeah, we chit chat every time like we see each other in there. Talk to Stan for a little bit. And then, go buy stuff, and I'll show all the stuff that I bought, and show the other stuff that people gifted me also. And God, I still can't believe I'm forgetting his name already. Dang. Anyway, that's what happens when you get old. But just looking, I had a certain card that I wanted, but I couldn't find. But anyway, I'll get to that. Yeah, so I want to say, what was that? That's Thursday night. Friday night, get in, or Friday afternoon, I should say. Well, let me go with the Thursday thing. So Thursday afternoon, I want to say, I think it was helping the four collectors out, stuff bags for the trade night, or maybe that was like Friday. I don't remember. Some of the stuff was a little blurred. But anyways, no, that was Thursday. Thursday, I don't know. But anyways, I had some shirts made up from the 2024 National, from the frat house for everybody that stayed there and stuff. You probably seen them in certain people's channels. They wear them. I had the picture of the house that looked like a crack house and stuff, and had writing, the whole design, and had everybody's name on the back of the shirt. So I was giving those out to everybody that stayed at the frat house that showed up. Um, so then head over to the YouTube get together over at the other hotel where it's always been at. Get up there, I think maybe in there, not even 10 minutes. And then Mike Moynihan, baseball collector, he's like gets everybody's attention. You got I think the manager and some of the other staff that are there standing next to him, and he's like, "Hey, we can't, be in here if you're not staying at the hotel. You have to leave." So then everybody's like goes out to under the awning out there by the parking garage that for the drop off pickup at the hotel. We're like, okay, like what the hell is going on? Then we end up going through the parking garage to the back. There's like restaurants and there's like this AstroTurf area, maybe I don't know, out there, and there's a stage and stuff. Well, we get out there and there's a concert going on. There's people everywhere. All the restaurants are packed. And it was like, okay, like what do we do? Because Mike's ordered, all these pizzas. Like, what are we supposed to do with this stuff? So Jeremy Lee, he comes up and he's like, "Hey Dave, we're gonna head over to the back over to the convention center and go in the lobby and use that for this. There's tables in there from the thing." Like, all right. So I think I tell a couple people, we start heading out. I can't remember who I'm walking with. Mike Moynihan's like, "Oh man, you're done already?" And I was like, "No, Jeremy Lee told us to head on over to there." And he was like, "Well, who told him?" And I was just like, "I thought you told him." So the next thing I know, like Jeremy's walking behind us. Mike and him have a conversation. We go over to the convention center, and then we get kicked out of there. So it was like, all right. And then next thing I know, like we just go right back over to where the hotel was, to the grassy knoll that's right outside by the road. A lot of people's already gone. A lot of people, I think a good majority of people stayed there. So, that was interesting. It was fun. Got to meet some other people and see some old faces that, and chat with them and everything. So it was good. So and Friday comes along, and man, it was like, I don't know what was Friday. Friday was just a normal day, kind of whatever. Saturday, there was talks of us going to a Cubs game, but Matt had to work on Friday, so he had to miss most of the day. So, so we didn't go. So we just hung out at the show, and then ended up going. Matt and I were going through some at this booth. He had like boxes of all kinds of stuff, and I'll show you some of the stuff I got from there. So yeah, it was very interesting time. I mean, of course, there was the hiccups, but I'll tell you one thing: I will not do the general admission again. That was chaotic. The workers there are rude. They that's all I can say. Like, someone was just like was mad because they were told that we go to one spot, and then they're like, "No, you gotta need to go over here." And he was like, "Everybody keeps giving me the runaround." And then while the guy's walking away, one of the workers like said something, and he cussed at the guy. I don't think the guy heard him, and I was like, it's just rude. Like, but yeah. So it was good. I had a good time. You know, Miss seeing some people that didn't make it. I'm glad I got to meet some newer guys in there. Got to meet Mike Petty. Got to hang out with him. Got his insight on on something that I ended up buying. Um, so he was my driving force to make sure it was authentic before buying it, and I'll show you what that was. But yeah, let me switch this around and we'll go from there. All right, so I flipped it around, but after I stopped it, so flip it around, I had to look through my contact. It's Drew, Clean Cheap Shots is the one that gave me the envelopes. So these, he gave me these, and he gave me that the year before. Man, sorry, Drew. Your name slipped my mind. I don't know why. But anyways, get to what people gave me there. So Matt, he found this, I think, on ComC, and it was like, and it was cheap. It was like really cheap. And he was like, "Hey, do you want me to get it graded for you?" And I was like, "Yeah." It was just an extra little cost to it. And so I was like, "All right." So I had the money for him for it, and I can't remember the total. I think it was like $60, maybe 80 total for everything. I want to say it was like $60. I think it was like 30 for the card and like 30 for the grading, whatever. But to find out, it is a Pop 1. It's the only one graded by PSA. There's another one that's graded a 9 from SGC. So it is the 1961 baseball player keychain insert of Don Drysdale. So, yeah. So that, that's still on the back and everything. So, got that bad boy. So, Pop 1. I got the only one. So, that's awesome. So, got that from Matt. He didn't want the money for it. And then Sammy Thunder, like, he was out, I guess, thrifting around somewhere, and he's like, he texted me, he was like, "Hey, I got you something," when I was out. He was like, "Do you want me to mail it to you, or do you want to wait till the National?" I was like, "I'll just wait till the National and stuff." And then so he got me this Drysdale pin or button, whatever you want to call it, and stuff. And that's pretty cool. So add a little piece to the Drysdale collection. I'm gonna put that over here in there. And then people give me the cards. So I got John Wade Boggs Fans new edition card, in his new house, new card room. So it is pretty cool, and it's signed. Got number 9 of 100. So again, thank you, John, for that awesome card. And then at the YouTube get together, I met up with Doug and his brother Andy from Doug over at Don't Talk to Robots, and so I got a sticker from him. Pretty cool. It'd be kind of cool if I had since it was in Chicago, if it made it look like a Chicago dog up there. I thought that would probably been cool. And then one of the greats, here, I mean, they're all great and stuff, but Eddie over at Eddie's Cardboard Chaos, gifted me his new card. His new Griffey custom done up in a Harvey Haddock sticker. And then John over at 3D's 80s Kid, he did his version of the 53 Bowman color Pee Wee Reese card, you know, with his face on it, and he signed it for me. So I think that's pretty cool. John smiling face. You know, one of the best smiles in the community. You know, and then met up with Doug over at Smoky Joe Wood, you know, collector. You know, he gave me this at the vintage trade night, so thank you for that. And then, you know, we did, was it Wednesday morning, a bunch of it was John, 380s Kid, Theo, you know, Clemente collector, Matt, myself, and of course Matt's family. And I can't remember who else was there that morning, but we ended up going to breakfast with Jeremy Lee, and you know, got this card from him. So thought that was pretty cool. So Jeremy is such a great guy. And then you know, of course, you know, Scott, you know, over at Reindeer Studios, one of his little customs, you know, got this from him. And then I bought, you know, this one. Of course, I had to get the Drysdale off of him. And then I got the Joe Jackson, since, you know, he's from South Carolina. And I've been to the museum. I've been up there to Greenville, where he lived, where he was from. Yeah. So then, I guess some of the little things that I picked up while I was there. Of course, you know, I kept the room key. You know, I had the National on it. You know, whatnot, whatever I thought was, I didn't even realize it. I just forgot to turn the key in, but it had the National on it. Walking around, this is the only one I saw anywhere. And it was sitting there, so it had the National, so it was like this one touch or all touch, whatever case. So I still haven't used it. So saw that, and then eBay did their game. It was basketball, so signed up for that. Won like this little case, and then when I was over, like walking around, Heritage had, you know, these out. So I picked up 2 of each. There's only one of these there. The other one I have of this, my daughter has, because she likes Jackie Robinson. So there's some Walking Dead ones. I don't remember where those are at, but cool little case. The house things. So yeah, well, let me grab my pickups here. So walking around, and I see this in the at a table inside the case, and I was like, oh, I need that. And you know, I flip it over and everything, and I was just like, all right, because I've seen, you know, this stuff, and I thought, you know, it was just like an outer shell, you know, whatever. He wanted 60, and I'm like, you do 40 for it, and he was like, no, you know, whatever. And I was like, how about 50 cash? So he went and I think asked his dad, came back, was like, yep, $50. So chatting, like later looking at it, finding out that it's this one here on the back, you know, it says made in Canada. Well, the one you're seeing is the one that's made in the USA. So I got both of them for $50. So that was a great deal there, because I think the Canadian one or the Canada one is harder to find. So glad I picked that up for my Drysdale collection. And then picked this up. Also, I think I have this already. I didn't realize it, or I might not. I don't remember. But picked up this. I thought it was pretty nice. I don't remember paying $15 for it. Got my first Vinny. Got a Bill White 62. I think I paid like $7 for it. Maybe, I think, no, different table. But yeah, got my first Vinny card. So I picked that up. Saw this and I was like, it was cheap. I think it was like $30. I think 35, 25. I don't remember. But ended up getting a Drysdale auto on it that's, you know, certified. So happy to pick this up. You know, I can't beat, you know, getting a Drysdale auto for super cheap. And then I think this was like one of my first purchases of the show on Wednesday. Some lady, she had a ton of these different images, and I think they were like $15. I'll try to get her down to less for it, but I can't remember. Anyways, I got this image of Johnny Mize. I think this is like in his early career, you know, and you could just see that. I mean, it's just such a beautiful image. It's a postcard. So, you know, pick that up. Then, you know, picked up this Joe Wood, this game from 1913. So I thought that was pretty cool. My first Joe Wood card, just beautiful. Then I got this card. I can't remember the dealer's booth, but everybody knows the dealer. Everybody knows the booth. So if the booth is where the hot lady, I guess you would say, that has her cleavage hanging out, you know. So it's like, oh, you buy something and it's like she gives you a coupon or something to get a photo with her. I'm like, okay, like whatever. The guy that runs the booth like hires her every year to do this, apparently. So, but ended up picking up the strip card of Heine Manouche off of him. So I thought it was pretty nice there. I'm not showing those quite yet, because those are my big purchases. Then the last day, Saturday, this is one of the pieces I ended up picking up at this one table. It's this Jimmy Fox Wheaties panel. I think it's from 35 here. I mean, the back ain't great, but I mean, pick that up. Awesome piece to add to the collection. So this is the piece that the dealer had two of them. This is the stronger of them. I should like the better looking of it. He was asking the same price for both. Got him down to $200 for it, but you know, took a photo of both. Sent it over to Mike Petty. He didn't reply back to me, so I was like, had the guy hold this piece, this one, until I came back. I ended up running into Petty and it was like, hey, I texted you, not sure if you saw or anything. And he was just like, oh, it was like, sorry, look, he looked at it and he was like, yeah, it looks great to me, looks legit and stuff. So I ended up getting this Koufax autograph for 200. It's not authenticated, but took a gamble, asked Petty. Petty was like, he like looked at it. I believe I showed him after I got it later, and he was like, yeah, man, that is legit. He explains things like what to look for, and I can't remember off the top of my head, but thanks Mike for helping me out with that piece. These are two other pieces that I got along with that Jimmy Fox. That was at another table. There's some other stuff that I ended up getting too. I just don't remember. But anyways, I got this this Drysdale piece. I'll have to zoom out for this here. So I got that. And then I got the Duke Snider piece of it. I thought these were, pretty nice. And then these are all out of a magazine. So I thought the images were very nice. So I picked these up, got the Drysdale. Got another Drysdale, so you can just see the back of it. This one talks about, this is by Don, so it's an article there. And then got this this Koufax. Such a beautiful image. Like, just love it. Got another Koufax. Here's the back. I guess an article by the thing, and then here's Campy here. I think this one here, yeah, this one has Lou Gehrig on the back, which is pretty awesome. And I got this awesome image of K-Line. I don't know, some tennis player on the back. And then Willie Mays. Another one of Mays. These images are just gorgeous. I got one of Mantle. And then a golfer on the back. And then the last one I picked up was Clemente. These images were just outstanding. There. And then at that booth, I picked up the Sporting News, a supplement to the Sporting News, and it looked like it would have been the centerpiece of the magazine there. And this is from November 11th, 1909, and it's of the Pirates, and there's Honus Wagner right there, and there's Clark on this. So I thought that was just a really cool piece, just to add. I don't know if I would claim this as owning a Honus Wagner, but I own a Honus Wagner piece, Playing Days. And then the other one, man, I got to go back to get the other one. And I went back and picked up this one. So, I mean, you got Connie Mack on here. You got Home Run Baker, Chief Bender. You got Collins on here. Who else is on this? I think there's another one. I can't. But anyways, yeah. So got both of these pieces. Did not pay that price. So, yeah, those are just absolutely gorgeous to own. I gotta frame that up still. So my two big purchases. So it's kind of weird. Like I don't know how to put these in order, but I'm guessing this is what I'm gonna do. So I'll just tell the story of I was going after the 1921 exhibit of Ty Cobb. Him as the player, it says Detroit on it, not Philadelphia manager. So I only found one, I believe, but it was a higher grade and it was out of my price range. So I was looking for like a one or authentic for around 1,000, maybe 1,200, or or less. Could not find one, so I had to pivot because I wanted to get a Ty Cobb, and I think I got these over at Ash's table. This card, and I got a good deal. I think I got a good deal. It's a Playing Days Cobb. It's the 1914. I'm gonna zoom back in here on this. So the 1914 Polo Grounds Ty Cobb. I mean, so this card is gorgeous to me. It's Playing Days. He's batting. The image of the Polo Grounds. They're just stunning. So got that, and then picked this up from Stan. More so his wife, but Stan's table. Eddie from Eddie's Cardboard Chaos was with me when I bought this. I wanted to get a Hall of Famer in it, and I was just looking. He had a couple cases with these in it, and I was just like looking and looking and looking and looking and looking, and this one, because I know they're expensive, and I wanted a Hall of Famer in it, and I looked at it, and everything. To me, it's fine. I looked up VCP on it. They were asking a little bit more than what from VCP, but it is what it is. But I got it for less than what they were asking for it, which is great. But the anticipation, I guess you guys are all having of what I picked up was a 1914 Cracker Jack of Rube Marquard. So yeah, it's trimmed here, of course, but the image is still great on it. There's the back. It's still readable. So yeah, so I got myself a 1914 Cracker Jack. So I'm pretty happy with those pickups there. Put that there and hold this one, up next to it, or move him out of the way real quick and put that there so you can see it. Those are my pickups and stuff, and then of course the the trade night, you know, we did these baggies of stuff, and so afterwards, you know, well, some of the stuff's in here as well, was in here already, but card, the Fort Collector's new card, you know, they got, because they added Dan. So, of course, the sticker. I want to say these were left on the table. I don't remember how I ended up with these, but, you know, 89 tops, packs, not opening those. You know, people were leaving, you know, the cards, because they had, you know, we put vintage cards in every one of those bags, you know, so people were leaving them. And like one of these came in that bag there, because this bag, like, you did a wheel and stuff to get a certain pack, and it was the 89 Upper Deck to get the Ken Griffey Jr. rookie. I did not open this. I don't plan on opening it. So I'm leaving it. Everybody, I think, that got these, that ripped them, no one said, nobody that claimed that they got the Griffey rookie. And I think these were also on the table. There's another bag, you know. So it had like the vintage, you know, cards.com. You know, pick those up. Then this was, you know, was left on the table. I mean, these are pretty nice looking cards. You know, there are some, back there is a Cal Ripken and the art card of Maguire. And then these Ronaldo stickers. So, you know, it's like, oh, these are kind of cool. So I just picked up a bunch of those that was there. Nobody, you know, was wanting. So that's my recap, you know, of the National. So, I mean, comment of what your favorite card, favorite item was, or items that I picked up in there. For some reason, I feel like I'm missing some stuff. I don't know why, but I don't know. I feel like that's everything I ended up getting while I was there. Yeah. So just let me know what your favorite thing was there. Sorry, this video is so late. Months later into the new year. So, but, you know, better late than never. So without further ado, thank you for watching, and I'll see you all at the next game.